resolution that will be made, that the final decision rests with the interim president, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi. Pallavi Ghosh joins us with more details. Yes, Pallavi, you can tell our viewers I told you so, because you said this last week.
Well, there's no closure on this entire Rajasthan crisis saga very clearly, so it's not a done deal yet. What sources are certainly telling us is, and something which was indicated by Mr. K.C. Venugopal as well, who's been huddled in a meeting with Sonia Gandhi since morning, that there would be a clarity on who's going to be the chief minister in a day or two. However, the caveat over here is that let's not presume that it's not going to be Ashok Gehlot, but what they're planning is to have one CLP meeting in a couple of days, possibly. A one-line resolution is going to be passed, which is going to leave the decision to Sonia Gandhi, and she's going to take the final call. That's something which Ashok Gehlot also said in his soundbite after he met her and came out. So what essentially means is mulling of options. There's a section of the Congress party and very senior ones who feel it's time to teach Ashok Gehlot a lesson, if I'm going to use their words. And what that would mean is that he doesn't get to become the president, but at the same time, he doesn't get to remain the chief minister. But the problem over here, Anand, is that most of the MLAs, as of now, are with Ashok Gehlot. He has that kind of a grip on them. So is it going to be an easy call to take? I'm afraid not.
Well, but what happens next, and why did Ashok Gehlot play truant like this? Was the Rajasthan chief ministerial post too important for him to let go of? And what are the options? Among the current options, none wield the kind of clout and power that an Ashok Gehlot does. He is a chief minister of a state. He's got 90 MLAs backing him. He's firmly placed. So among the other contenders or the options, all of them don't seem to have the kind of ability that an Ashok Gehlot could muster. So what will Sonia Gandhi do now?
That's just about anybody's guess. I agree with you. Ashok Gehlot had all the boxes tick marked in his favor. I mean, he would have more acceptability among the cadre, seasoned and shrewd politician. Many felt he would be the right one to take on the BJP in many which ways. Belongs to the Mali community. Very shrewd, plays his cards well. Also seen as a troubleshooter. Digvijay Singh, many feel doesn't bring that on the table. I think it's a situation which clearly was an intelligence failure on the part of the Gandhis. They never saw this coming, which is why that hurriedly called CLP meeting took place. We saw what really happened. It was with a sense of anger, I think, when Sonia Gandhi told Ashok Gehlot that she doesn't think he should be contesting for the top post. But the other big problem and headache remains, and that is about who's going to be the chief minister, and can she really afford to sideline Gehlot? And before I come back to you, Anand, I think it just bears out once again the weakness of the Gandhis and the fact that they're losing the grip over the party.
Yes, absolutely. Why is it and how is it that you are not able to control your flock and your whip doesn't work? How is it that somebody can be brazen enough to come back to you and tell you, listen, I will decide who will be the chief minister, not you. I will decide anybody but this man, that is Sachin Pilate, and I will ensure. And when there is no assurance on that front, you say, I don't want to be the Congress president. Do whatever you want. I'm going to continue to be Rajasthan chief minister. We've run out of time on this edition of The Nation at 5. Pallavi, thank you. Winding up on that note, Viewpoint with Zaka right now.
Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zaka Jacob. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has ruled himself out from the race to be the next Congress president. Now with this, the so-called Gandhi family candidate seems to have bowed out, which means the race now boils down to between Digvijay Singh and Shashi Tharoor. They are the only two people who have officially said that they are standing to be the next Congress president. The nominations close tomorrow. The question that's being raised is this: who then becomes the establishment candidate? How did the High Command completely overestimate its own power with loyalists like Gehlot? And what happens to Sachin Pilate's dreams of becoming chief minister? But first, the story of how Ashok Gehlot, after a meeting with Sonia Gandhi today, ruled himself out from the Congress president's race.
कल परसों की घटना हुई है और मेरी मॉरल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी कि वो प्रचार पार होता, तो मैंने तय किया है अब मैं इस माहौल के अंदर चुनाव नहीं लड़ूंगा।
After finding himself out of favour with the Gandhis, the one-time favourite has ruled himself out of Congress's president race. 4 days after a rebellion in the party's Rajasthan unit over Ashok Gehlot being possibly replaced by his arch-rival Sachin Pilate as Chief Minister. Gehlot landed up in Delhi to meet Sonia Gandhi, who advised him not to contest.
मैंने सोनिया जी से भी सॉरी फील किया है, माफ़ी मांगी है, तो मेरी मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि एक मुख्यमंत्री होने के बावजूद भी मैं एक प्रस्ताव, एक लाइन का जो हमारी परंपरा है, पहली बार वो परंपरा के अंतर्गत वो प्रस्ताव पास नहीं होगा.
With Gehlot bowing out, the race for a new non-Gandhi Congress president comes down to these two men for now. One is seen as a staunch Gandhi loyalist, the other is a member of the G23. While Shashi Tharoor had already declared his candidature and is expected to file his nomination on Friday, Digvijay Singh finally ended the suspense by picking up the nomination papers.
हम लोगों का पूरा प्रयास रहा कि राहुल जी हमारे नए राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बने. वो नहीं बनते हैं तो प्रियंका जी बने. लेकिन जब परिवार ने बिल्कुल तय कर दिया कि बिल्कुल हम किसी हालत में नहीं लड़ेंगे चुनाव, तो फिर फील्ड खुली है, जिसको लड़ना है लड़े.
Whether more names will pop up or who will become the Congress president is still a wait-and-watch game. The only thing that's certain is that it's the first time in over 20 years that a Gandhi won't be in the top post. Another person whose fate remains uncertain is Sachin Pilate. He has been long waiting his moment in Rajasthan, but has always been blocked by Team Gehlot. Even after the latest maneuver by Gehlot's MLAs, there was no action taken against the Rajasthan Chief Minister. While Gehlot is out of the Congress president race, he continues to reign over Rajasthan, which means that Pilate has once again been hung out to dry. So is another desert storm only a matter of time? Has the Gandhis' inability to get a grip on the party been exposed once again? And will a new Congress president be able to fix the multitude of problems that the party is facing?
And we've got some very interesting breaking news right at the top of Viewpoint. Now that Gehlot has pulled out of the race to be Congress president, is his job as Rajasthan Chief Minister still in danger? Because is there still hope for Sachin Pilate? KC Venugopal, the Organisation General Secretary of the Congress Party, has come out and said that a decision on the Rajasthan Chief Minister will be taken in the next couple of days. Sources tell CNN News 18 that another CLP meeting is likely to be called in which a one-line resolution could be passed authorizing Sonia Gandhi to decide who will be Chief Minister. Let's play out that soundbite of KC Venugopal and then I'll go across to Pallavi Ghosh.
Congress president is going to be a neutral in this election. Let us wait for the nominations. We will get a clear-cut picture tomorrow evening. No, I cannot say anything. That decision of Chief Minister of Rajasthan will be decided by the Congress president within 1 or 2 days. That's all.
Right, Pallavi Ghosh, so what does this mean? When Ashok Gehlot met Sonia Gandhi earlier this afternoon, came out and said that he's ruling himself out of the Congress president's race, then it seemed like he gets to keep the Chief Minister's job, which is what he perhaps always wanted to do. And then somebody else, whoever has decided to fight for the Congress president's post and goes ahead and wins, will become the Congress president. But now, if KC Venugopal is to be believed, Mr. Gehlot's job as Rajasthan Chief Minister may also not be guaranteed.
And in fact, I think that indication also came in from Mr. Ashok Gehlot when he came out of the meeting with Sonia Gandhi, where he said that a decision on a chief minister is something which is going to be left to Mrs. Gandhi. But I think KC Venugopal saying that becomes even more significant because he's been huddled in a meeting with Sonia Gandhi since morning, and he's of course the organizational general secretary. What we are picking up by way of our indications is that there's no closure to it yet. However, it also doesn't mean that Gehlot is going to be removed immediately as a chief minister. There's a possibility of a CLP meeting, we are told, in a couple of days. A one-line resolution will again be passed authorizing Sonia Gandhi to take a final call. See, let's also not forget the Sachin Pilate factor. He's very much sitting over here. He also has asked for time from Sonia Gandhi. He's likely to meet her today or possibly tomorrow morning. And he's also going to make that point that I have been repeatedly assured that I'll become the chief minister. If not now, then what's the point of making me a lame duck chief minister? These are the nitty-gritties. But also, Zaka, the worry is that Gehlot is no Captain Amrinder Singh who was being deserted by his MLAs.
Yeah.
Gehlot has a grip over his MLAs. It's not going to be an easy decision really for Sonia Gandhi to take.
Well, absolutely. As of last Sunday, when that previous CLP meeting was called for, at least 90 MLAs are supporting Ashok Gehlot. Of course, a lot can change in a week, but we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out. Pallavi Ghosh, for the moment, many thanks for joining us. Let's open this up. Neeti Jain is BJP spokesperson, Suman C. Raman, political analyst, Advaita Kala, author and political analyst, and Nirja Chaudhary, senior journalist, will also be joining us. Neeti Jain, first things first, the BJP's line of attack against this Congress president election was whoever is going to be the next Congress president is going to be a puppet, is going to be remote controlled by 10 Janpath. And the person most likely to have been seen as a Gandhi loyalist, Ashok Gehlot, has now ruled himself out from that race. So this attack line that, let's say, between a Digvijay Singh and a Shashi Tharoor, and they are the only two known candidates as of today, neither of them would be called a puppet of 10 Janpath?
Are you sure about that, Zaka? Because, see, the point is that for any change to happen, there needs to be an acceptance that something needs to be changed. So when Digvijay ji was just talking, he just said, we want Rahul Gandhi to be the president. If that's not possible, let Priyanka Gandhi be the president. If that is also not possible, then I'll consider getting in somewhere. There is no acceptance. There is no need for a change that any of these people are saying. The people who were looking for a change have been sidelined as a G23 or they have left the party. So these people who are still in the race are the people who have the complete support or at least a confidence of 10 Janpath. I don't see anything.
Let me just qualify why I said what I said. First of all, Mr. Shashi Tharoor was officially part of the G23, so I don't know how much confidence of 10 Janpath he has. And secondly, as far as Mr. Digvijay Singh is concerned, it is true that there was a point of time many years ago where he was very, very close to Rahul Gandhi. The prevailing wisdom as of today is that they'd had a fallout some years ago and things were not the way it used to be. So neither of them is seen, let's say, for want of an example, in the same league in terms of closeness to the powers that be as, let's say, an Ashok Gehlot was. That was a limited point.
So, see, again, the point is Ashok Gehlot was directly being referred by 10 Janpath, and that is in itself a reason that 10 Janpath wants somebody who is in complete control of them to be part of that. There is still time for people to file in the nomination. So let's not draw a line today that this is it and these are the two people. Maybe there would be an added addition or somebody else who could come in via the 10 Janpath routes. That could still happen. But the essential point being that need for a change is still not being seen from the state presidents to the cadre to everybody. They still want Rahul Gandhi to come in. Rahul Gandhi for some reason is not interested. So this is an entire party of reluctant politicians anymore. Ashok Gehlot was being coronated, but he's not interested anymore.
The fundamental point, and I like the way you say the 10 Janpath route, because to get to 24 Akbar Road, you need to go through 10 Janpath. But let me ask Suman C. Raman. One thing is this entire episode starting from last Sunday when the CLP meeting was called for, and that turned out to be a fiasco, and all the way up until today when Mr. Gehlot said, I'm not running to be Congress president, this entire fiasco was completely avoidable. All that the High Command needed to ask Mr. Gehlot was, are you interested in the Congress president's job? Do you want to be Congress president, or do you want to continue as chief minister? Because if you're wanting to continue as chief minister, there's no point going through this whole charade. And at the end of the day, this charade has just rendered the High Command looking like a bunch of incompetent chaps, because they clearly underestimated Mr. Gehlot's clout within the legislature party.
Zaka, I would not think that even the Congress leadership, even the present Congress leadership would be so colossally incompetent to have not discussed this issue with Mr. Gehlot. I think Mr. Gehlot pulled a fast one. He overplayed his hand. I think the plan which would have been discussed was for Mr. Gehlot to step down and the High Command to take a decision on his successor. At some point, when it appeared that Sachin Pilate would be the choice of the High Command, I think Mr. Gehlot decided to pull a fast one, and this is the reason for the fiasco. They are now furious with Mr. Gehlot, which is why he has said, I went and said sorry and so on. The point is very clear. The Congress High Command does not have a clear candidate. Even Mr. Gehlot was sort of, pulled in kicking and screaming because he was certainly not, keen on taking up the job. So it's a sad, story today that nobody wants to head India's largest party. I mean, it's a, I mean, largest in terms of oldest and most famous political party over the decades. The point one is Digvijay Singh fell out with Rahul Gandhi and the Gandhis in a larger sense, which is why you saw him being sidelined even in Madhya Pradesh. When you remember, Zaka, Digvijay Singh at one point was the face of the Congress party in Madhya Pradesh. And then what happened? Kamal Nath came in and Kamal Nath became the chief minister. Mr. Digvijay Singh was actually pushed to almost a number 3 spot behind Jyotiraditya Scindia. Kamal Nath versus Jyotiraditya Scindia was really the contest there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Digvijay Singh was virtually and also ran in his own state. So I think that he is certainly not going to be a hugely popular choice, even should the High Command want to anoint him. Shashi Tharoor, yes, Shashi Tharoor at least appeals to some very, very small segment, but he's seen as too elitist. So how the Congress cadre would respond to him, especially in the Hindi belt, when he's not a leader from the Hindi belt, also makes it a very difficult choice. And I was thinking, why couldn't they think potentially of Sachin Pilate himself? Why could Sachin Pilate not be, he's young, he's from the Hindi belt, taking him out and making him a national president takes him out of the hair of Ashok Gehlot during the remaining of his term as Rajasthan chief minister. But that's not even been spoken, because I don't think that after his rebellion in 2020, the Gandhis have any kind of significant confidence in Sachin Pilate as being a total loyalist to them.
Okay, so let me ask Hemant Attri. Hemant, you know, now that Mr. Gehlot is not in the running to be Congress president, and yet we have heard from KC Venugopal just within the last hour that the decision on who is going to be the Rajasthan chief minister will be taken by the Congress president. There will be a one-line resolution passed by the CLP whenever it's called in the next day or so. Is there still a chance that Mr. Gehlot may not remain as chief minister of Rajasthan, and maybe some other candidate, either his loyalist or maybe even Sachin Pilate, could be appointed by the High Command as the next chief minister of Rajasthan?
No, Zaka. If at all, KC Venugopal and the company, that includes Ajay Maken also, they again try to remove Mr. Gehlot. One thing is for sure, that they will not allow the next appointee to even pass through the confidence motion, or what you call it. Initially, what Mr. Ashok Gehlot was saying, basically this is a fiasco created at somebody's behest through Mr. Ajay Maken. See, what was the issue? Mr. Gehlot was, anointed by Congress President as well as Rahul Gandhi to go for the Congress President's election. He had not even filed his nomination, and all of a sudden there becomes a theory that he should be, replaced by somebody. And in the meantime, Gehlot being a seasoned politician, he got to know that they are going to replace him with Mr. Sachin Pilate. So immediately he swung into action, and whatever we are seeing on the TV things, but he has said, I feel sorry, this and that. No, this was all orchestrated by him as well as his team. And they are still on the same page that if at all, quote unquote, if at all, High Command wants to make Mr. Sachin Pilate as the chief minister, confidence motion his government cannot get it. Take it from me. Okay. He is very, very particular. Gehlot is not a new player. He is a seasoned one. And he knows what he has sacrificed. He has sacrificed Congress president post for the sake of a chief ministership only for 14 months. He is not a kid.
So explain that to us. Why would somebody who's been multiple times chief minister, it's not like it's a new post to him, why would he want to be in that post for another remaining 12 or 14 months and give up what should be arguably the biggest position in the Congress party, that of Congress president? What sort of message does that send out to lakhs of Congress karyakartas? Basically, you are telling them कि किसी को नहीं बनना Congress president. अगर CM है तो that is a bigger post.
Zaka, the thing is, while you come as a Congress president in Delhi, it's a crown of thorns, and this gentleman Gehlot knows it fully well. See, he was ready to resign from the chief ministership on one very simple thing, that some of his colleagues, some of his favored ones, if he was made the chief minister, he would have been more than happy to skip to the Congress presidentship. But Congress High Command again decided to go Sachin Pilate's way. Okay. And this thing he cannot afford.
Okay, so let me ask Advaita. So, Mr. Gehlot has, as they say, उन्होंने तो पत्ते खोल दिए हैं. What is the High Command going to do? Because so far we only have these two candidates, Digvijay Singh and Shashi Tharoor. And as was outlined by both Sumant and Hemant Attri, neither of them seems to be in the in the so-called, inside camp of the Gandhi family. So is the Gandhi family saying we don't care who becomes the Congress president, or would the BJP's line of attack that this candidate, whoever he or she may be, whoever goes on to become the next CP, will be remote controlled by 10 Janpat? That will not apply because neither of them are perceived to be loyalists.
No, Zaka.
Advaita, please. Thank you.
Yes, well, I mean, Zaka, I apologize for my connection. I missed some of the things that the other panelists had to say, but viewing it from what's playing out in front of us, the first thing I would say as someone with some communications experience is that the Congress has a major communication problem. They just don't know what message to put out to the public. You have a Jodo Yatra, which is supposed to be your primary or your paramount outreach when it comes to the public. And that's ongoing. And then you have your Congress presidential election. So that shifts because Congress leaks like a sieve, right? So you know everything that's going on behind the scenes. And it's a far more interesting than a Bharat Jodo Yatra that has been in Kerala for now 20 days. You get involved in what's happening with the Congress presidential elections, and suddenly you have this Rajasthan old rivalry, which feels scarily like deja vu. And you have Sachin Pilate and Ashok Gehlot once again at it, once again gathering their troops. So now you move on from the Congress presidential elections and you're focusing on the Rajasthan political crisis. And there's no concept, I think, of dousing things. Like when Ashok Gehlot traveled here, met with Sonia Gandhi, that should have been the end of it. But now you have K.C. Venugopal introducing the element of a possible change of chief ministership. So now we've forgotten the Congress presidential election. And guess what? We're going to be discussing who the new CM is going to be. Will Sachin Pilate always be the waiting man, or will he finally get his turn? So I think their messaging is so messed up that it's very hard for people to take this political party seriously, because they're just coming up with one crisis, one sensation after the other. And the process itself of Congress presidentship was something that the general public was very skeptical about. And even now, if you listen to that, the things that they're saying, well, Sonia Gandhi told Ashok Gehlot, you don't run for president. So he came out and he sort of said, I'm not going to do this anymore. So when you're determining candidates in a free and fair election, it should be on the candidate where they want to be, whether they want to stand or not stand. Okay. So I think, it's getting extremely convoluted. It's very hard to take this process seriously. And they are themselves kind of undercutting themselves. No one else is doing it.
No, the only clarity in all this messaging confusion is that I think we can fairly certainly say that no Gandhi is going to be contesting to be the Congress president. Maybe I might be forced to eat these words tomorrow if maybe, I don't know. I don't know. As of right now, Rahul Gandhi is scheduled to continue the Bharat Jodo Yatra into Karnataka tomorrow, unless he decides to take a flight and come to Delhi and file the nomination papers. But I think we're reasonably sure that no Gandhi is going to stand to be Congress president. The question then is about this cross-messaging, Sumant Raman. First of all, Bharat Jodo should not have happened in the middle of the election process, or vice versa. The election process should not have happened in the middle of Bharat Jodo. Already, whoever the next president is going to be, his or her thunder is being stolen by Bharat Jodo. The point the point simply is that if the Congress party has any hopes or ambitions of taking on Mr. Modi in 2024, they need to start behaving like the principal opposition party. They need to start putting out messages that at least the party is on the same page. And as somebody from the BJP said, Rahul Gandhi is busy going around with Bharat Jodo, whereas what is actually happening is Congress Todo.
Yeah, I think, Zaka, before we get into this particular point, I just wanted to make one point on Rajasthan. I personally don't think they would try to destabilize Ashok Gehlot immediately, because almost surely the government will fall. Because Sachin Pilate, we saw, has 17 MLAs out of the 101, and the rest are all with Mr. Gehlot. So even if the Congress High Command does crack the whip, Mr. Gehlot can ensure enough MLAs are with him to ensure that Sachin Pilate does not form a government or win a confidence vote thereafter. So that part is ruled out, which is why it brings us back to the question that the Congress High Command may sulk and may feel angry and miffed about Ashok Gehlot, but I think that they will probably try to weaken him in the run-up to the elections rather than try for an abrupt change and lose yet another state government to the BJP. So I don't think that that's going to happen.
Okay.
Maybe in a week's time, as KC Venugopal said, because it makes zero sense for Ashok Gehlot. He would have lost the Congress president's post without contesting, and he would have lost his chief ministership as well. He's not going to give in without a fight. So that's point number one. As far as Rahul Gandhi, you will recall, Zaka, on one of our debates long ago, he said that this Bharat Jodo Yatra is meant effectively is more or less a projection of Rahul Gandhi. And if Rahul Gandhi is not going to play any further role, as far at least at the highest level, what is the logic in projecting him? It should have been the next, the incoming Congress president who should have been projected as part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So this has been a contradiction. I don't think any of them have thought through this whole thing. Bharat Jodo Yatra is built around Rahul Gandhi. Are we all agreed on that? We are.
Yeah, of course.
And if Rahul Gandhi is not going to play a key role in the affairs of the Congress party going forward, either from the front or from the back.
So the logic there, I mean, again, I don't necessarily buy the logic, but Niti Jain, the logic being given by Congress folks and folks close to Rahul Gandhi is the principal attack of the BJP, and the Prime Minister no less has said this, as recently as the Independence Day speech that he made, that dynastic politics is one of the banes of Indian public life. And nobody represents dynastic politics more than Rahul Gandhi does. But if no Gandhi is the next Congress president, then it blunts that attack to some extent. Niti Jain.
No, so picking up on Sumanji's point again, Zaka, the point is that Rahul Gandhi is still being projected as the it-all and be-all of Congress party. No matter what is happening in the elections in Rajasthan, it is Rahul Gandhi that is being projected as the Congress party's face. And whatever said and done, the Gandhis are not going to let go of the reins of the party, because the party is going to fall apart if there is no Gandhi at the helm of affairs. And this is what every congressman knows, this fact. So the Gandhis are not going to let go of the reins. So let's just wait and watch who is coming via the 10 Janpath route. Okay. And let's not draw a line today on any of this matter.
All right, final word, Hemant. Will there be a surprise third candidate in the next 24 hours?
See, Zaka, should I break something good for you?
Good, I don't know, but you can surely break. Yeah.
There are two theories going around. One is Mr. Digvijay Singh and this gentleman Shashi Tharoor will be filing a nomination.
Yes.
And a few surprises also who are nobodies. They may also file their nominations tomorrow. And in next 8 days, all of them except for Mr. Digvijay will withdraw on the last day of withdrawal. And that's how Congress will control the whole damage. And you will find one Digvijay Singh who has been elected unanimous. That is the theory going around, the whole fiasco which is going on.
Let's see how this story plays out. I've got to wrap up. Thanks very much, Niti Jain, Sumant Raman, Hemant Attri and Advait Hakala for joining us. As we move on to the next show, don't forget to vote for your favorite startup, the unicorn that you feel deserves to be the Indian Startup of the Year. Go to indianoftheyear.com and vote. Anusha will join you just in a moment.
Is this just a convenient political argument that because PFI has been banned, so RSS must also be banned? After coming to power in 2013, Siddaramaiah government approved the dropping of 176 cases filed against 1,600 PFI activists.
You cannot, on the one hand, empower a nation with F-16s for anti-terror ops, while saying, hey, we found you patronizing Ayman al-Zawahiri. The Haqqani network has been propped up as 50% of the government in Taliban in Afghanistan by Pakistanis.
The Congress High Command completely underestimated how much support Ashok Gehlot has within the legislature party and completely overestimated Sachin Pilate's support within the CLP.
Central Bureau of Investigation arrested Vijay Nair, close aide of Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia. And as per the agency, Vijay Nair received 6% commission from liquor barons. Can the Aam Aadmi Party continue to call this witch hunt or vendetta?
IAS officer had to say, because part of what she said, I believe, later is that it's been a representation of what actually took place. So take a look at a bite. This is exactly what she had to say at the event.
इस मांग का कोई अंत है? 20 और 30 रुपए का विस्पर भी दे सकते हैं, कल को जीन पैंट भी दे सकते हैं, परसों को सुंदर जूते क्यों नहीं दे सकते हैं, नर्सों को वो नहीं कर सकते, और अंत में जब परिवार नियोजन की बात आएगी तो निरोध भी मुफ्त में ही देना पड़ेगा, है ना? सब कुछ मुफ्त में लेने की आदत क्यों है? सरकार के हित में जो सरकार को देना चाहिए वो सरकार से लेने के लिए तुमको जरूरत क्या है? अपने आप अपने को इतना संपन्न करो.
Okay, should there be stronger action against this IAS officer, and what does accountability in this case actually look like? You can call us in on 01204341895. We'd love to hear what you have to think of when it comes to this incident. Remember, this very senior IAS officer is also a senior Bihar official. Apart from being a senior Bihar official in Bihar itself, worryingly, she is the Principal Secretary of the Women and Child's Welfare Department, and she heads the Bihar Women and Child Development Corporation. That's why, in particular, these remarks are attracting the ire of people across the country. Now, in particular, apart from this, we also are given to believe that she was asked about repairs required when it came to the girls' bathroom at that same event. And to that answer too, she asked, do women and men in your home use the same bathroom? Why do you keep asking for things? So it seems this IAS officer has made 2 or 3 comments of a very similar nature, in which she's again and again responding by saying, why are you asking for so much? Why can't you be self-sufficient? Now, of course, what we'd like to talk more about also is the comparison made in that answer between, for example, a condom and a sanitary napkin. We obviously are all aware of the differences, particularly the fact that periods are obviously involuntary. They come to a woman once a month, whether or not she likes it, and therefore they should obviously be considered in a different category for something like, as we're talking about, condoms. Just to give you an example, there are countries around the world that already provide tampons and sanitary napkins for free. So it isn't entirely unprecedented when this young student is asking this question. Anyway, to go to what Harjot Kaur Bamra, who is the chairman, the IAS officer who's made this statement, to go to what she had to say about this entire issue, she's gone ahead and said that it's all false, malicious and wrong reporting of the event. She's also said, I'm known as one of the most vociferous champions of women's rights and empowerment. She said that some mischievous elements might have resorted to these attempts to malign my reputation. However,
Good evening and welcome to the biggest exclusive tonight. Let's begin with some latest news coming. And Mr. Ashok Gehlot has told Sonia Gandhi that he will step down if Sonia Gandhi wants him to. He has also left it to her to take the final call. Now, we already know that Ashok Gehlot had apologized to Sonia Gandhi. He had reached out to her and said that I was responsible for that resolution to be passed, but that did not happen. I'm sorry for the rebellion that really happened. He's out of the race, but whether he'll continue to remain as the Chief Minister for the state of Rajasthan is the million-dollar question. And he's once again said that the final call rests with Sonia Gandhi. We'll try and connect with my colleague Pallavi, who's tracking all the details on this very important story. But as the experts have been pointing out, Ashok Gehlot enjoys the firm support of his MLAs. Pallavi with us on the broadcast. Pallavi, what should we make of this statement?
Interesting, and then clearly he was in a mode where he wanted to sound at least repentant, because there are 2 important things which he tells Mrs. Gandhi. One, of course, is that he apologizes because the CLP meeting was, yes, called by him, and the entire purpose of the CLP meeting was a one-line resolution which will leave the final decision on who should be the Chief Minister to her, but that clearly didn't happen. So what he does is, he also sends out this message that he was completely unaware, he didn't even know what the MLAs were doing. But I think the bigger story is also what we are getting to know is, he also told her that I apologize, and if you want me to step down, I'm ready to do so. You decide who should become the Chief Minister. It all makes sense now, because Ashok Gehlot comes out of that meeting with Sonia Gandhi and he says that she can take the final call on who's going to be the CM of Rajasthan. We also have a KC Venugopal who comes out and says that in a day or two we'll get a clarity on who's going to be the chief minister, and sources also tell us that there's likely to be a CLP meeting. The question, of course, which arises over here is that will Sonia Gandhi bite the bullet? Will she be able to muster that kind of a courage? Because as of now, Ashok Gehlot certainly has the MLAs by his side, but a section of the Congress party also feels that at the end of the day the MLAs go where the drift is, and if that message starts going out that Gehlot no longer enjoys the confidence of Mrs. Gandhi, then one can see a repeat of Punjab in Rajasthan, where the MLAs had turned their back to Captain Amrinder Singh.
Very interesting, Pallavi. Thank you so much for getting us all that perspective and information about the future of Ashok Gehlot and, of course, the Congress party as well. Once again, a very warm welcome to this special broadcast. We continue to focus on the big story of the day. While the world's most liberal and progressive democracies have written down the reproductive rights of women, here's the Supreme Court of India batting for the rights of women in this country. That crucial order from the Supreme Court is our focus this hour.
We welcome the Supreme Court judgment. I think the most important is the recognition by the Supreme Court on the reproductive autonomy of a woman.
मैं इस पूरे जजमेंट को वेलकम करना चाहती हूँ. मुझे लगता है ये बहुत अच्छा और प्रोग्रेसिव जजमेंट है.
One of the most progressive judgments coming from the Supreme Court, absolutely respecting the rights and the choice of women.
In a significant judgment today, the top court asserted that whether married or unmarried, women have rights, reproductive rights, irrespective of their marital status. An unmarried woman is to be treated at par with a married woman when it's about the choice to terminate or reproduce. Not just that, the bench led by Justice Chandrachud, it was a 3-judge bench, went a step further and asserted that married women who being pregnant due to sexual abuse within marriages would be covered under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules 2021. What does this mean? It means that the top court recognized marital rape for the limited purpose of abortion. There's no criminalization, I assert. This is indeed a very progressive order. It opens up new avenues for us to make a case about criminalization of marital rape in our country. A sexual assault by a husband on his wife is not rape. That exception survives on our statute books. Sometimes in the name of culture, often in the garb of protecting families, law has chosen to look away. But it's time to do away with this archaic mindset. Tonight, we make a case how today's order paves the way for criminalization of marital rape by making all the right noises, though obiter dicta. Let's tell you a little bit more about what the legal position is. What are the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules 2021? They were notified and they were changed. They allowed the pregnancy to be terminated within 24 weeks. Earlier, the ceiling was 20 weeks. But there were certain rules. Under Rule 3, there are conditions which are prescribed. What is that? If a woman has been a victim of rape or incest, she's a survivor of a crime like this, she has a right to approach a local panel and say, look, I want to abort. Sexually assaulted minors, of course, this is one category where the law has been very, very sensitive. Change in the marital status during pregnancy, which means that while when you became pregnant and during the duration you became separated, divorced, or there's a change, all of that was taken into account. Women with a physical disability. All these rules under Section 3 gave you the right to terminate your pregnancy up to 24 weeks. Now, what is it that the Supreme Court has done? What are the changes which have been brought in? There are two very critical aspects that we must understand. Two facets of rule number 3 that we must focus upon. First is that sexual assault includes marital rape. The court has said it in as many words that marital rape is not criminalized in our country, but victims of sexual assault will include women who come and say, look, I'm a victim of sexual assault within the marriage and I do not want this pregnancy. The court will take that into account and up to 24 weeks, she can terminate her pregnancy. It's a big, huge step in the direction of criminalizing marital rape in our country, not so much by the precedent, but the discourse which is building within the judiciary. Now, the marital status is interpreted as relationship status. This is a very progressive suggestion that had come from ASG Aishwarya Bhati, who said that we live in a modern society and you have to be cognizant of the fact that there is premarital sex, live-in relationships, and women who are not married should have the same rights. Married and unmarried women should have the same rights. There should be no artificial distinction. More importantly, if there is a discrimination between a married versus an unmarried woman when she wants to abort her pregnancy, it's violative of Article 14, right to equality. Why should that distinction really exist in our rule books, in our statute books? I open this question to our guests as well who are joining us on the broadcast. Is this the way forward? Has the Supreme Court finally shown us the way that how judiciary, through its progressive line of judgments, can move in the direction of criminalizing marital rape? Joining us on the broadcast is Tara Krishnaswamy. She is the co-founder of Political Shakti and a women activist. Deepika Narayan Bharadwaj, who is also an activist, is joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Ranjana Kumari, who is the director at the Center for Social Research, is also joining us. And Ashwini Dubey, who is an advocate at the Supreme Court of India, is also with us on the show. Tara, I'm coming to you first. I reiterate at the beginning of this debate that this is not the criminalization of marital rape in our country. That exception exists on our statute books. But the fact that the Supreme Court has said that at least for the purposes of abortion, include marital rape under the definition of sexual assault, I believe is a huge, huge step forward.
No doubt about it. This is an extremely progressive judgment and, a mention, an acknowledgement, if nothing, that marital rape is rape. Now, there are a lot of statutes on the books where women alone are discriminated based on their marital status. This itself being an example, right, as to whether you can avail an abortion or not. And if you look at the statement that the judge has made as part of the ruling, advising he is a judicial adult. My tweet says he's a judicial adult advising medical adults, which is doctors, that they should not be asking for husbands or, family approval. In other words, to treat women as adults.
No, but Tara, is that your experience? Is that your experience that women need some kind of consent? Because as far as my understanding of law is concerned, even if you're married, legally speaking, you don't need your husband's permission. And there are various judgments of the High Court and Supreme Court to that effect.
Absolutely, legally you don't need it, but that's the point. The fact that a Supreme Court judge took the time out to make that statement tells you what's the reality on the ground, right? A, that doctors are asking women to get approval, it's still a patriarchal society, and B, even with all this, medical termination of pregnancy is not accessible to everybody in terms of cost, in terms of going down to the doctors in the last villages and towns who ask their women, do you have the permission to do so, right? So there is a long gap. This is absolutely the first step, but there is a long gap. And as far as the acknowledgement of marital rape equals rape, it is a very small nod that has come in, very crucial nod, but a very small nod to acknowledge women as adults, women's rights, women's own bodies and their dignity thereof, right? So I think we have a long way to go. But it's really, the bar is so low that we are impressed, that we have to be impressed by these things.
Well, Tara, I mean, there's a way to see it. I mean, if you look at what so-called progressive liberal democracies have done to abortion rights in a country like United States of America, I am very happy to see the legal position in my country, which has only been a very, very progressive
one. But the US is not progressive. It's a conservative state. I don't think our bar should be
but the society per se, Indian society, I don't think can be called any progressive than the US society. I'll come back to you. Deepika, I'm bringing you into the discussion when it comes to the criminalization of marital rape. And I agree with Tara there that it's a very, very small step that has been made, and our standards are so low that perhaps even this small step seems to be a big one. But do you think that this entire discourse that Justice Chandrachud and the two other judges on the bench have said today could perhaps pave the way for a more constructive debate around the issue of marital rape?
Anusha, I would beg to differ with you. In fact, I really do not understand why the whole idea or the whole discussion on marital rape was brought in this particular judgment, because the case was of an unmarried woman who had consensual sex. There was no rape there, and she was only asking for permission to terminate the pregnancy. In the ambit of what the judges have said on marital rape, I think there is no room for discussion anymore. I think Justice Chandrachud has made up his mind that he is going to
but you are free to argue why you don't agree. So if you're saying that you don't agree with the court on that aspect, you must have your
No,
reasons.
no, it's not. No, no, it's not. Of course, I am no one to agree or disagree. But what I'm saying is, post this judgment, I think the public interest litigation, which is going to be decided by the Supreme Court, which was discussed in the Delhi High Court, I think the Supreme Court has already made up its mind. So I'm not too sure what is left to discuss to now strike down the exception in 375. Now, whether that legislation should be brought or not brought, that's absolutely something which should have gone in the ambit of the legislature. There should have been huge discussions and debates. It is great that we're talking about women's rights, but please, let's not bring in legislations one after the other where you are leaving absolutely no recourse for men to prove their innocence by just taking the word of a woman as a gospel truth. That is what we are seeing in a huge number of cases in marital disputes right now. And to bring in the legislation where the man would have absolutely no recourse and he would be put in behind bars as a rapist immediately on the word go, I don't think that's a progressive legislation.
I think precisely because of those fears, we have not had the recognition of marital rape in our country. That being said, I don't think that the testimony of woman is taken as a gospel truth in the law. I want to bring in Ashwini Dubey as well, who's an advocate at the Supreme Court of India, into the discussion. Ashwini ji, when you see the Supreme Court today passing this critical order, and I'm going to talk to you about both those aspects. First, of course, the marital rape bit, where he says that sexual assault within marriages, marital rape, at least for the purposes of medical termination of pregnancy rules 2021, is going to be recognized. Do you see as the court towing the correct line, perhaps in the larger interests of women's autonomy, women's right, Article 14?
Yes, Anusha, as a student of law, I say that Article 14 of the Constitution of India ensures that the state shall not deny any person equality before the law and equal protection of the law within the territory of India. So the distinguishing a woman from the woman, so far as the termination of the pregnancy is concerned and so far as the marital rape is concerned, that is violative of the Article 14 of the Indian Constitution. So courts are here to interpret the Constitution. So if I see this judgment and Article 14 of the Constitution of India, then it is a welcoming decision. It is a significant move. Why it is a significant move? Because when the law, this MTP Act was made in 1971, 52 years back, it was largely concerning the married woman. But as a societal norm and more changes, law must also adopt. Changing social norms must be borne in mind while interpreting provisions. Look, the categories, what are the categories? Categories are survivors of sexual assault or rape or incest, minors, change of marital status during the ongoing pregnancy, women with physical disabilities, mentally ill women including mental retardation, the fluid malformation that has substantial risk of incompatible. So right to life is a fundamental right, but at the same time we should not ignore these ingredients which I mentioned. Now moving further, when in 1860 the Indian Penal Code was drafted under the chairmanship of Lord Macaulay. At that point of time, a married woman was not considered as an independent legal entity.
She was considered as a chattel, a property.
Husband. As a result, she did not possess many of the rights now guaranteed to her as an independent legal entity. So the roots of the doctrine can be traced to the British colonial rule in the Victorian era. Now, India has already become an independent country. And if we look into it in the United Nations perspective, that United Nations to have us countries, the progressive countries.
No, but Ashwini ji, I also want you to talk a little bit about what Deepika said, that we're talking about the recognition of criminalization. I think there's already a recognition that marital rapes happen in this country. What we're talking about is criminalization of marital rape. And this fear has often been a very central part of this entire debate. That because under rape laws or under the IPC or the CRPC, the statement of a woman is given undue importance, quote unquote, according to many people. You may have a lot of false cases. You may open up a Pandora's box. You may just shatter the institution of marriage. In fact, those were the fears that were cited at the Delhi High Court as well and found their place in the judgments as well that came in. When it comes to the issue of marital rape, do you think this judgment sets the tone and tenor, or perhaps the comments are just obiter dicta?
Of course, one judgment passed by the Supreme Court, of course, has to be considered in its true spirit as per the judicial precedent and as per the jurisprudence. Now, the concern of, we look into the concern of Deepika Narayan Bharadwaj, her concern is right. Right, because there are three parts. One, the use, abuse and misuse. So far as the use, for the person who is legally, really has been maritally raped and the 376 is applicable,
For that, it is all right. But keeping in view the recent misuse of the woman-centric law, that is the concern what Deepika Narayan Bharadwaj is saying. But the thing is, time have changed. Indian law now affords husband and wife separate and independent legal entities. Exception 2 violates the right to equality enshrined in the Article.
Okay. I also want to bring in on that point Dr. Ranjana Kumari into the discussion. Ma'am, thank you so much for waiting so patiently. I want you to talk about both those aspects. An intricate social balance which is being made in the institution of marriage, and the entire argument that if marital rape is criminalized in this country, it's going to open up a Pandora's box and will hurt our culture in some way. And the second aspect, I think, is a very underrated aspect we aren't talking about enough, which is that now even unmarried women who are perhaps in live-in relationships or who have dated somebody who are about to get married, but perhaps they're not getting married right now, like it was in this case, have equal rights like a married woman. That means premarital sex and that autonomy of women is somewhere recognized in law right now.
Well, yes, it is a liberating judgment. It is very progressive and also very significant for two reasons. One, that, hypocrisy of Indian society, where we do not recognize premarital relationship and sexual relationship, and also we really want to ignore it or rub it under the carpet. It's been openly, very clearly stated by the Supreme Court of India that there is this relationship, we cannot ignore it, and if it results in pregnancy, the girls have a right to go and have the abortion. And as you know, MTP restricted the unmarried girls' access to abortion. And this now will be quite clearly, one second, I think somebody from your studio has been... Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Okay, so now the other that which is very important at this stage is to see that the marital rape. Now, from the time of Nirbhaya and the sexual assault law reform, Verma Commission, we all made that presentation to Verma Commission. In fact, Justice Verma quoted my presentation at the time of his interview with NDTV that we've insisted on including marital rape into the sexual assault
that was
law,
not done.
But that exception was made by the parliament, and he was very clear about, Justice Verma, very clear that this will not be acceptable because we think marriage is sacrosanct. We do not want to acknowledge and recognize any brutality or any kind of rape in marriage. And this is precisely what happened. Now today with this judgment, as you remember that when Vishakha judgment came, sexual harassment at workplace law followed. And similarly, I think once the Supreme Court has clearly recognized the idea, the incidents that happens in bedroom, there is brutality in bedroom, there is kind of rape in bedroom, and that has been really recognized, and I'm sure it will be followed by law. And I'm very, marriage is sacrosanct everywhere in the world, but so many countries have legislated recognizing the problem that women are facing in their bedroom. Rape in marriage. So certainly we will also have that, and I'm very, very confident that in future we will have all this. Definitely will result into law.
Well, as they say, ma'am.
Now, number 3.
Ma'am, please finish your point. No, please finish your point. You had another point.
Just the last point for me, very important, is that the people who are talking about one-sided law, there's a lot of debate about that, and also that equality before the law. Certainly, when there is inequality before the law, when women are victims, then the law will have to be legislated. There has to be legislation which will protect the victim, the women who are not really being treated neither in society as equal, nor in front of the law, nor in economy, nor in politics. So certainly that provision will have to be made where women will have to be brought at the same level.
I remember you and I having this discussion one time earlier when we were discussing the issue of marital rape. One cannot deny that under various laws which have been framed for the upliftment for women, or to do away with the social inequities that exist, the law gives sometimes women some kind of leverage. They have been misused. There is ample evidence to show on record that most of the dowry cases often are filed and they don't really reach a logical conclusion. Often the victims to whom the law should reach actually never reaches. That's the fear with the criminalization of marital rape as well, that if you do this, it will be more prone to misuse than its proper use.
Well, if this question is to me, I just want to say that sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a genuine fear, and that is because in our country we have laws, and then its implementation can go awfully wrong. As simple as traffic laws, many people don't obey it. Every day on the roads we see it broken. The answer to that is more enforcement, making sure that we police or fine or immediately address that. The answer to that is not to say let's do away with all traffic lights or let's do away with all one-way roads or whatever.
Yeah.
The same goes here. It is very important to recognize a crime. Now, some of the difficulty is in proving that crime. Some of the difficulty is in preventing misuse and abuse of that law that recognizes the crime. Then we need to take the efforts both legally in framing policy and also in implementation and execution of that law, both judicially and otherwise, awareness that reaches the public. We have a
I don't think, I don't think, the utopian idea that you and I are talking about, Tara, is possible without police and judicial reforms in this country. Only then you can have wonderful laws that exist in papers and statute books, but if your implementation is patchy...
Anusha, can I just take 30 seconds?
Yes, Deepika, I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you. I'm coming to you.
The
Deepika.
answer to that is not to say criminal crimes are okay. That's all my point is. The answer to that is not to say that crimes are okay. It's okay to rape women, provided they are your wives, right? It is not okay to do that. That said, we must take action to make sure to limit the abuse or the misuse of the laws. But the answer is not to say rape is okay. Marriage or no marriage.
No, I don't think. No, that's absolutely clear. No. No, I think on that point we're fine. I don't think anybody on this panel says that raping your wife is fine. I don't think that's a moral, legal position that anybody in the country can take. Deepika, I'm coming to you and taking this point forward with you. One can't deny the fact that in the institution of marriage in a country like India, there are grave social inequities that exist. Even today, for a woman to come forward and report a rape or a case of sexual assault is very, very difficult. I think there is a certain degree of bias when it comes to these laws which are framed exclusively in the interest of women, that they say that, look, men are being adversely affected. You tell me one law on the statute book which is not misused. All laws are misused. Then why have a special hatred reserved for any kind of law that tries to bridge these social inequities?
Anusha, in the beginning that you said that, the word of a woman is not taken as gospel truth. Now, please give me some time to make my point.
Go ahead.
In the last 6 months, I've exposed 3 women. One filed 9 rape cases within 1 year in just one city, Gurgaon. Then in Jabalpur, a woman who has filed 6 rape cases despite being married. And now I'm recently breaking a case where a girl in Jaipur has filed 8 rape cases. None of them were punished until unless I expose them. 41% of the rape cases filed in India, as per the latest NCRB statistics, are rape on promise of marriage. Now, we definitely need to bridge the inequities, Anusha, but that should not mean that you completely ignore the problems of one side to elevate the other side. Now, in this debate itself, when you say, and the judges have said that a married woman can also just terminate her pregnancy, I beg to ask, what is actually a marriage? When we are talking about rights, does a husband also have any right as much as a wife? Now, tomorrow, if a wife unilaterally decides that she does not want to have a baby, where the father wants a baby, now whose right are you going to protect and whose rights are you going to completely ignore?
The way our body, really need the way physically, emotionally, psychologically, a woman is affected by motherhood. However pleasurable and wonderful that experience may be, a man is not. And in the most formative and difficult years of a child, right from the time it's born to up to 3 to 5 years, it's the mother which is taking care.
If I may,
let Deepika finish and then I'll bring in others.
The father or the husband out of the equation of a marriage, when we are increasingly talking about the rights that women have, is there any right that a man also has?
Okay, Tara, a quick rebuttal from you, then I'll bring in Ranjana ji.
A quick rejoinder is this. It seems to me she's highlighting a situation where the husband and wife don't have consensus on whether to have a child. If she doesn't want to have his child, she cannot be forced. Now, that's grounds for divorce. That's a separate matter. But you cannot force another human being to have your child. And it seems to me that that is the case she is highlighting.
Ranjana ji, you had a point. Ranjana ji, I'll come back to you. Deepika, I'll come back to you. Ranjana ji, you had a point to make.
What's been said in the judgment.
Yes, I think the fundamental issue is missed here. the whole idea of women's autonomy, the whole idea of women's right over her body, howsoever you may, venerate and glamorize and all that motherhood talk, but what is very important is to know what happens to women. It happens to women's body. If she doesn't want that child for whatever is the reason, it is her body which has to go through all this.
So
I
Deepika,
think she has a
I'm
right
coming
over
to you,
her
and
body.
that's
This
what
is the
Tara and Deepika
fundamental-
ji are saying. That
fundamental.
that's what Ranjana ji are saying. That
you are saying
the
basically
the
their
situation
fathers
that we are
have
basically talking
absolutely
about is when the woman doesn't really want to have a child.
Nothing, no say at all in the upbringing of a child
Let
or
me-
decision to have a
well,
child. Are you
yes.
telling me that?
I'm sorry.
Deepika,
I'm sorry.
Deepika
All right, one at a
doesn't
time,
feel-
please.
I'm
One at a
sorry,
time,
you
please.
may
Ranjana ji,
think-
please go ahead. Ranjana ji, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that the fundamental principle of women's autonomy is to have a right over her body, just like men have right over their body. They can exercise their right, but the way our society and social norms and social inequities are concerned, that right has not been given to women. And now is the time, and now women are asserting that right. And it is extremely important that as human beings, as in,
Okay, let Deepika make a point. Let Deepika make a point. Deepika, answer this question for me. Deepika, answer this question for me. Do you think that most women in this country? All right. Let me make a point. Let me make a point. Dr. Kumari,
discussion of
Deepika,
parental alienation. But do the fathers have absolutely no
Deepika,
right
listen
in
to
the
my
child?
question. Deepika, listen to my question. Do you really think that most Indian women in this country, married in a very traditional conservative setup, the reality of our country, actually make real choices about motherhood?
Anusha,
are they allowed
let's
to make
talk
those
about
choices?
the law, because right now we are talking about the law.
Law
Absolutely, you're right.
operates.
Women do not make choices.
Law operates
No,
in social
absolutely.
reality. Law doesn't operate in isolation.
Of course. But when we are talking about progressive judgments, we cannot talk looking at only one side of the spectrum. If all of this is related to marriage. Now, if you're saying that the rights in a marriage is only of the woman, then of course there's a progressive judgment. But if you're going to say that marriage is a bond of two people who come together and make choices, then it's not.
But I think if there is a difference of opinion between a husband and a wife, then the wife should have the right to decide
Ranjana
whether
ma'am,
she wants to
all
have
right,
a
Ranjana ma'am, now
whether
in
she wants
this
to have a
judgment
child or not.
itself, the judge says that later on, if she says that the child is born out of a sexual forced sex, then basically the husband is accused of marital rape.
There is no offense of
how
marital
would the
rape in the
husband
statute
prove?
books right now. I want to give.
But it's in the judgment. That's what exactly.
Yeah, but
Justice
then he
Chandrachud
can't be
has said.
prosecuted for anything. It's not an offense under IPC unless she decides to file 377 and divorce. Ashwini ji, I want you to come into this. I will take those closing comments from you while we talk about the institution of marriage, and perhaps this institution has been at the center, whether it's about the criminalization of marital rape, whether it's about abortion of rights, whether the consent of husband is important or not. What kind of relationship law has had with the institution of marriage? Why are most progressive laws, which women rights activists would love, I would love, are often called as laws which are homebreakers, which do not take into account the views and wishes of men? Would you agree with that?
Anusha, there are three important aspects. One is that, look, if we talk about that whether these marital rape should be criminalized or not, so far as the Law Commission of India is concerned, then Justice J.S. Verma committee's recommendation, both are contradictory to each other.
Yes.
Why? Law Commission of India recently, 2 years in 2000, said that this marital rape should not be made as a marital rape. It should not be criminalized. But Justice J.S. Verma committee said that some of the recommendations which help in shaping the criminal, except this marital rape, that were not acted. For now, another 3
And I'm sorry, Ashwini ji, I'm interrupting you, perhaps for another day. But yes, there is a need for a more nuanced debate on this entire issue. A very progressive judgment from the Supreme Court of India paves the way for more constructive debate in this country around the issue of criminalization of marital rape. I thank all my guests. My colleague Shivani joins you on the other side.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. There seems to be no end to the twists and turns in the Congress president race, with Gandhi loyalist turned rebel Ashok Gehlot bowing out of the race today after a 2-hour-long meeting with interim President Sonia Gandhi. The Rajasthan Chief Minister said he apologized to Sonia Gandhi and regretted the turn of affairs in the state. Meanwhile, former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister and another Gandhi trusted aide, Digvijay Singh, collected the nomination papers today and is expected to file them tomorrow. Digvijay Singh also met his rival candidate Shashi Tharoor today, called it a friendly fight against communal forces in the country. This whole drama brings the Congress Corundum back to square one. The whole idea behind the president polls was to portray that they are free and fair in the truest sense. But the manner in which Gehlot has bowed out shows once again that it is impossible to even contest without the blessings of the Gandhis. Now, there are serious concerns over what happens in Rajasthan as Gehlot upsets the Gandhis enough that he may lose his chief minister's chair too. The biggest question is, will there be any more surprises? And who is ahead as far as the Digvijay versus Tharoor contest is concerned now for Congress's top job? Here's one.
हम लोगों का पूरा प्रयास रहा कि राहुल जी हमारे नए राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बने। वो नहीं बनते हैं तो प्रियंका जी बने। लेकिन जब परिवार ने बिल्कुल तय कर लिया कि बिल्कुल हम किसी हालत में नहीं लड़ेंगे चुनाव, तो फिर फील्ड खुली है, जिसको लड़ना है लड़े।
वो मैं जान सकता हूँ, क्योंकि पूरे देश में मैसेज चला गया जैसे मैं मुख्यमंत्री बना जाना चाहता हूँ, इसलिए सब कुछ हो रहा है। मैंने सोनिया जी से भी सॉरी फील किया है, माफी मांगी है, क्योंकि कल परसों की जो घटना हुई है और मेरी मॉरल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी थी कि वो प्रताप पार्क होता, तो मैंने तय किया है अब मैं इस माहौल के अंदर चुनाव नहीं लड़ूंगा।
Shehzad Poonawala of the BJP is joining us. We'll also be joined by Sanjay Jha, political analyst who has been, of course, with the Congress party formally. Shehzad, the BJP has been mounting a lot of critique on the Congress party. You have in the past, of course, as a member of the Congress party said this. What do you make of the entire announcement by Mr. Gehlot today that he is no longer fighting these elections after meeting Sonia Gandhi?
If I may, गुस्ताखे परिवार की एक ही सजा, गहलोत जी अध्यक्ष पद से जुदा. I mean, if you offend the first family, you are out of the race. And you remember 4-5 days ago when the Congress people were coming on your debates, I don't know why they are absent today. They were saying Ashok Gehlot is the best candidate. What an experienced man. He will be the next president. Now he is not in the race anymore. And now they have found another remote. Actually, this is not finding the INC president. This is finding the most convenient remote control or the most convenient proxy or the most convenient Manmohan Singh look-alike in that sense. So, obviously, Mr. Gehlot's Bewafai in Jaipur has not gone down well. So, he's out of the race. Now, they'll have Digvijay Singh. Digvijay Singh comes with the credibility of blaming 2611 on RSS and Hindus. He says Osama ji, he says Hafiz Saeed Saab. He has a long history of playing the vote bank card. So, perhaps now Congress can actually get into its real mode and blame everything on Hindu terror and saffron terror.
I'll come to Digvijay Singh in just a bit and how Tharoor and Digvijay stack up. But on the issue of Gehlot, Sanjay Jha is with us. Sanjay, I hope you can hear me. The very idea, Sanjay, was to project these elections as a free and fair exercise. But everything that has transpired with Mr. Ashok Gehlot, first in Rajasthan and then, of course, him bowing out today after meeting Sonia Gandhi, gives entirely the opposite picture. This has done more damage, if anything.
Well, Shivani, I do believe that Mr. Gehlot has committed a political suicide of sorts. You know, the position of the Congress president comes with an immense responsibility. And given the fact that the party has gone through some terrible times, you know, I think this would have given him a phenomenal, shall we say, opportunity to come and demonstrate his political capabilities. And I think by encouraging an internal revolt within the party in Rajasthan, I don't know who in the world was advising him, but he's actually damaged his own reputation almost irreparably. These are not things that any political party, even the BJP that
would tolerate,
represents, will be cool with. Nobody will be cool with, you know, a blatant, brazen expression of your lust for power. And I don't understand why Mr. Gehlot did that. Therefore, the Congress agreed to have one person, one post. How can you be the Congress president and a chief minister of a state?
But, you know, Sanjay, I hope you would remember, I think we were discussing this when his name was doing the rounds, that I also feel that he also has a point. Why would he want to give up the chief minister's chair to be Congress president? And as everybody knows, he's not going to have a free run as a Congress president. Was it not unfair to disturb him in the first place and then to appoint Sachin Pilate in the manner that it was being attempted?
You know, Shivani, that is the interesting thing about politics, right? You know, we all go by perceptions, and everybody said Mr. Gehlot is a wily character. He understands the ABCs and the nuts and bolts of politics. He knows the meats and potatoes of the business, but everyone is human. They make a mistake. And I'll tell you why Mr. Gehlot's made a mistake. He's been chief minister twice before. This is his third time. 4 years down, I can tell you the Congress is facing terrible headwinds in Rajasthan. If elections were held today, I'm predicting with almost 100% certitude the Congress will lose under Mr. Gehlot. And in fact, it would have been a smart move on his part to let Sachin take over. He gets 1 year. He doesn't come in like Charanjit Singh Channi and expect a magic wand to work. I know Sachin personally very well. He would have worked for 1 year to make the Congress come back. He's capable of doing that, by the way. And Mr. Gehlot would have had an opportunity to be the Congress president.
Okay, I mean, look, but here's the catch. The MLAs are with Mr. Gehlot. The MLAs don't want Sachin Pilate. They see him as a rebel who tried to bring their government down. I mean, everybody looks bad here, Sanjay, because the Gandhis didn't calculate the fact that the MLAs are with Mr. Gehlot and not with Mr. Pilate, so they can't force this change. Pilate doesn't have the numbers to want to be the chief minister. Mr. Gehlot, obviously, as you said, has possibly committed political suicide because now there's a question mark. He doesn't become the Congress chief. He might still lose the chief minister's chair. Do you think that's still a possibility? Can the Gandhis still force that change? Because it looks like the message has gone down to the MLAs that don't try this again.
And if you heard the MLAs, they did a dramatic U-turn.
Yeah.
And they said whatever the Congress president decides, and the Congress president will either be, we'll see whoever becomes the Congress president. Effectively, let me tell you this, Shivani, I've been in politics long enough to tell you that MLAs, MPs, everyone goes to where the power is the magnet. The power is the glue. It's a power that basically makes people subscribe to whatever, are their personal dictates at the moment. And if tomorrow the Congress president sends out a message that we want Sachin Pilate to be the chief minister,
then the MLAs will fall in line. Okay. Shehzad, even somebody like Sanjay Jha is saying that unless there is a power change in Rajasthan, the Congress is losing very badly. Your response on that? Do you think Sachin Pilate is that magic wand that could give competition to the BJP in Rajasthan?
No, I've always been fond of the optimism that Sanjay Jha brings to the table, and I always say whether his status or whether is it his logic that's suspended. But anyways, that's another debate. Let me address a couple of points. First of all, look at the hypocrisy of who's guiding Ashok Gehlot on one person, one post. Rahul Gandhi, whose father did not have one person, one post, whose mother did not have one person, one post. She was the chairperson of the NAC and the Congress president, whose grandmother did not have one person, one post in Indira Gandhi, and whose great-grandfather also did not have one person, one post, is advising others of one person, one post. That is not brazen lust for power. What we should be focusing on is two things. One, the credibility of this so-called process which many in the ecosystem were trying to project upon everybody as some sort of an election. This is nothing but a fixed match. Even North Korea would be embarrassed to call this an election. First you have to go seek permission, then you're given permission, then you find out that the person who's been permitted is not very trustworthy, so you find another candidate. And Mr. Chidambaram has gone on record to say that whoever is the president, the preeminent positions of the Gandhis. Secondly, what is the credibility of this parivar? Whatever little credibility it had amongst the Darbaris is also evaporated.
Well, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see if they can, maybe handle this situation to get some of that lost ground back. But I just have to request both of you to stay with me. I'm shifting my attention also to another state, which is also equally important as far as this BJP Congress contest is concerned, and that's the Gujarat state. Remember, the Prime Minister is on a 2-day visit to his home state today to launch and to lay foundation of multiple infrastructure projects. These are visuals now coming in from Ahmedabad, where the Prime Minister is at the National Games opening ceremony. His first stop today, though, was Surat, where he held a 2.5-kilometer roadshow and launched projects worth 3,400 crore rupees, including the phase 1 of the Diamond Research and Mercantile or Dream City. His next stop was Bhavnagar, where the PM laid the foundation stone for the world's first CNG terminal and a brownfield port, besides other projects for Amreli and Botad district. These are the 36th National Games opening ceremony, which are happening and in Gujarat for the very first time. Even as we stay on those visuals, let me just quickly bring in our guest too. Now, here's the catch for the Congress party, Sanjay. They've got to win elections, and everything that is going on with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, not even touching Gujarat, with what is happening in Rajasthan, one of the two states that they're actually in power in on their own. The problem that is emerging is that it doesn't look that the Congress is equipped to deal with the challenges ahead. You're talking about Rajasthan. What about Gujarat?
Well, Shivani, let me tell you that the Congress has been out of power since 1995 in Gujarat, and that's absolutely unforgivable. It's unpardonable, unforgivable. You know, for any opposition party, if you're not able to reclaim your space within probably 1 or 2 election cycles, you have a serious fundamental problem. And I completely agree with you, and I've written a long piece on that, that if the Congress does not, beard the lion in their own den in Gujarat, they did well in the last election and they have imploded since, it actually will even puncture, the whole, traction that I think the Bharat Jodo Yatra is getting. Ultimately, in politics, you got to win elections to, propagate your ideology and motivate your cadres. And I do think, in complete agreement with you here, that Himachal, Gujarat cannot be ignored.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially in politics, you got to multitask all the time. You can't say that we're doing one thing and the other things have to be in cold storage.
Yeah.
So I do hope that the Congress is working on multiple fronts. The feedback I'm getting from the people I know is that it's a battle in Gujarat. Aam Aadmi Party is clearly going to get into the vote share of the Congress Party, making it a lot easier for the BJP, which makes it an even tougher job for the Congress.
But are they looking like they're preparing and focusing on this challenge, especially with that Aam Aadmi Party factor? Before I also go across to my colleague in Ahmedabad, Shehzad, this time there's the Aam Aadmi Party spectre also. They're obviously claiming that they're going to be the #1 competitor to you.
Shivani, don't take this personally. I'm not saying this personally. You have a channel, it runs on a commercial basis also. If your channel can't fetch TRP numbers for 27 years, wouldn't you sack the people that are in charge? I mean, it's Thursday, so I'm bringing up this reference, but
it is a personal analogy, but I'll let it go.
But your
Go
show
ahead.
has great TRP. But having said that, imagine a situation out of these 27 years, 24 years, one family has been at the helm of Congress party in Delhi. Is the national president Sonia or Rahul? What is their responsibility? What is their accountability? If you can't manage to win a state for 24 years, you've not been able to win Uttar Pradesh for more than 3 decades now. You've been out of Tamil Nadu for 5 decades now. There have been state after state where you've become zero in 2019 Lok Sabha. And yet, your only claim to say the party will be helped is by the same leadership. So, the problem is deeper for the
answer my question. What do you make of the contest that both the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party will give you this time in Gujarat?
No, look, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party at the bare essentials represent the same value system. So it's one replacing the other. In Punjab, Congress was replaced by Aam Aadmi Party. In Delhi, the Congress was replaced by Aam Aadmi Party.
It makes your job easier, right? In Gujarat?
No, because I'll tell you why. In Gujarat, Aam Aadmi Party is contesting a tough battle against Nota. They have been able to breach Nota. I think they've been able to breach Nota in 1 or 2 corporation elections, council seats, but they are battling Nota. So good luck to them. They are fighting against Nota. We are fighting for ensuring that the people of Gujarat continue in the path of Vikas. For instance, the Prime Minister has inaugurated or laid the foundation of 29,000 crore worth of projects. The first time national games are being held in Gujarat.
Right.
Tomorrow he'll be in the Ahmedabad metro. Surat and other cities are attracting huge amount of FDI. Gujarat, by the way, for the last 4 years has been #1 in FDI.
But let's
37%
not
of the FDI is
forget
attracted
that the
to
leadership
Gujarat.
changes in Gujarat have also happened because you do have anti-incumbency and some discontent against your leadership before this cabinet. Let me
just one line on that. In Uttarakhand, we did the same thing, and in Uttarakhand, people endorsed it.
All right. Will Narendra Modi be that factor one more time for the BJP? Let me go across to my colleague Siddhant, who's been tracking the Prime Minister's 2-day visit. This is very much the announcement of intent and the poll bugle being sounded by the Prime Minister. Siddhant.
Well, yes, it's a big day for not just for Ahmedabad, but whole of Gujarat. Today, Prime Minister will declare open 36th edition of the National Games. So more than 7,000 athletes will be taking part in National Games, and it is going to go for almost 16 days. Neeraj Chopra, PV Sindhu, all these athletes are going to be present today at the time of the inauguration, at the time of the declaration of the National Games open. This will also be followed by games happening in several other districts of Gujarat, which include Surat, Bhavnagar, Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, Rajkot, Vadodara. And so these are the arrangements that are being made for 36th edition of the National Games. This is the fourth event of Prime Minister in Gujarat. After this, Prime Minister is going to attend the Garba Dandiya celebrations in Ahmedabad. He is also going to offer puja to Ma Jagdamba. In 2019, he did pay visit to this place, and now again he is coming, especially when state is going to polls in next 1 month, and Prime Minister is going to do a puja aarti at a ground in Ahmedabad.
So Siddhant, we'll keep coming back to you for more. Thanks a lot. We're expecting, of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi to be speaking. Now, he has, of course, over the last 8 years, done enormous work as far as the promotion of Indian sports is concerned, and especially sports other than cricket, which needs no promotion in India, and Olympic sports, Paralympics. But on the question of Gujarat elections, I want to go across to Sanjay Jha one more time. Sanjay, where is that signal that the Congress, even the Aam Aadmi Party, can give any takkar to Narendra Modi and his connect in Gujarat? Where is that sign, if at all?
You know, Shivani, I have always been of the opinion that to defeat the BJP in 2024, the Congress should have actually looked at attacking the Gujarat success of the BJP, because that would send out a signal. Can you imagine the narrative? Amit Shah and Narendra Modi defeated in their home state. You know, it changes the optics, the entire conversation across the country. And I think these are missed opportunities as far as the Congress is concerned. I don't know about AAP, but I do know that they are definitely biting into the vote share of the Congress, which is bad news for the Grand Old Party. But the truth is, I agree with you that, you know, while the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a great initiative and I wish it outstanding success, it has to dovetail into the Gujarat election story and the Himachal story. You know, ultimately, everything in politics that you do must have some kind of a political consequence or an electoral gain. It can't be that you're doing something on an ideological plane, but it is so abstract that it is politically relevant.
No, it has to have tangible deliverables, right? And you were telling me the other day that, you know, Rahul Gandhi is better suited to me being that face of the Yatra for the Congress party, take its message across, but possibly not as the organizational head. Now, here I come back to the Congress president post, Sanjay. Even the next president, one among Tharoor or Digvijay, if there are no more surprises, are they going to get the leeway to make the changes that the Congress party needs to make?
Well, you know, Shivani, the truth is that the Congress does face, even as we talk, a serious internal existential crisis, which manifests itself externally when you actually don't get good results in elections. And if you don't bite the bullet, you know, when the writing is on the wall, you have a choice. You can pretend not to see it and read it, or you actually look at it and say, let me take the bull by the horns. For the Congress, I think the time has come to ask itself one very seminal question. Am I here for the battle, or am I going to chicken out?
But who's going to ask that question, Sanjay? There are some leaders, including the likes of Tharoor, who are obviously beginning to make those noises, but you know the treatment they're getting.
Well, you know, I do believe that at the moment there seems to be that one positive churn that I do believe gives a degree of sanguine hope to the people, which is that there are elections happening. It's not the most perfect with the Gehlot affair in particular. But I think also the fact that at the end of the day, the Bharat Jodo Yatra is on its tracks, and hopefully it actually carries a greater momentum as it goes forward. The Congress needs to understand that in politics, you need to be building a narrative. You need to create the agenda. The one who creates the agenda wins the election. It's as simple as that.
Yes. No, but on that, before I focus back onto the games, Shahzad made a very interesting point about, look at your presidential candidates right now, Sanjay. By you, of course, I mean the Congress party, even though you are slightly estranged right now, but your heart is still with the Congress. There's Digvijay Singh, who was releasing a book blaming the RSS of being behind the Mumbai attacks and propagating that theory. There's Mr. Shashi Tharoor, who's very suave and sophisticated, but coined the term of Hindu Pakistan for India. I mean, if you're going to have these faces, is the Congress not going to be digging its own grave? Let's be honest about it.
Well, Shivani, I know both these gentlemen personally very well, so I'm not going to make any public statement that will make them feel at all uncomfortable. But the job is a tough job. You know, you're absolutely right. If you're the Congress president, it's going to be one of the toughest jobs in the world because you're going to try and resurrect a party that frankly built a modern India, fought for India's freedom struggle, and is down on its knees as we talk. So therefore, I think many contradictions. I can tell you, politicians across the board are kind of celebrated for their bloopers and their bloomers. But I do feel at the end of the day, the Congress party has the capability, and I do hope that when the elections are over, and there could be a third candidate, by the way, there is a direction that is built by the leadership. Because I think in today's times, people want to see a leader who's articulate, who's out there in the public arena, who's giving interviews, who's engaging with various sections of people and building the story for the party. So I do hope one of these two gentlemen or a third person is able to make that good story happen.
Yes, no, but Sanjay, the question I was asking was the image of both of these leaders. It could play into the hands of the BJP. Shehzad certainly seems so.
The Congress today is reduced to a party that represents only one vote bank. There's the Gujarat, since you are on Gujarat, their Gujarat state president is on record to say that what Manmohan Singh had said, that the first right of resources belongs to one community, is absolutely correct. And there is no reason to believe that Rahul and Sonia think any different from what Digvijay has uttered. Because Rahul Gandhi had told the American diplomat once that Lashkar-e-Taiba is hardly dangerous, it is the Hindu groups that are more dangerous. These are statements made by Rahul Gandhi in a speech on Mehengai. He went and said that Hindutva is like ISIS and Boko Haram killing minorities. Sonia Gandhi's government or the government that she controlled via the remote control said that Shri Ram doesn't exist. For 70 years they blocked the Ram Mandir construction. They opposed the Ram Mandir Bhumi Pujan. All of this is not credit to Mr. Tharoor or Mr. Digvijay Singh. So I am just saying that what is inside will come out outside. The real face will now come out outside.
You're going to use this ahead of the Gujarat and Himachal elections.
No, we are of course
regardless
going to,
of which one of these gentlemen becomes the next president.
You see, in a serious way I want to say, this is the only presidency in any organization in the world which carries lesser power than a peon. Okay. The Congress presidency is the only presidency that if it is not with a Vadra tag or a Nehru Vadra tag, it carries lesser power than a peon.
Times change, Shehzad. There are times when the Congress was very powerful, BJP not so much. Times have reversed, times could reverse again. But Sanjay, I have to slip into a very short break. I want to ask you very quickly, who do you think has the upper hand as far as this Tharoor versus Digvijay race is concerned? Very quickly, please.
Well, Shivani, honestly, the speculation is that Mr. Digvijay Singh has the backing of the high command, in which case he will be the front runner. But I do feel that both of them are very good people, actually. I know both of them very well. You'd be surprised to know that Digvijay Singh and I started the Congress social media in 2013. And if I'm not mistaken, Shehzad was part of the team at that point of time. So, end of day, I think these are exciting times. And whoever comes up, I think the party definitely needs a non-Gandhi face. And hopefully, they will be more independent as well.
Let's wait and see how that plays out, because that will have a major impact in Gujarat elections, where the Prime Minister is currently. Will the new party president become an asset, or could they turn out to be an Achilles heel too, given their backgrounds, is something that the BJP will look forward to utilizing. I have to slip into a very short break. Our guests will stay with us. On the other side, we will focus on the Gujarat elections, where the Prime Minister is, and also, of course, the National Games opening ceremony.
Right, Pallavi Ghosh, so what does this mean? When Ashok Gehlot met Sonia Gandhi earlier this afternoon, came out and said that he's ruling himself out of the Congress president's race, then it seemed like he gets to keep the chief minister's job, which is what he perhaps always wanted to do. And then somebody else, whoever has decided to fight for the Congress president's post and goes ahead and wins, will become the Congress president. But now, if KC Venugopal is to be believed, Mr. Gehlot's job as Rajasthan Chief Minister may also not be guaranteed.
And in fact, I think that indication also came in from Mr. Ashok Gehlot when he came out of the meeting with Sonia Gandhi, where he said that a decision on a chief minister is something which is going to be left to Mrs. Gandhi. But I think KC Venugopal saying that becomes even more significant because he's been huddled in a meeting with Sonia Gandhi since morning, and he's of course the organizational general secretary. What we are picking up by way of our indications is that there's no closure to it yet. However, it also doesn't mean that Gehlot is going to be removed immediately as a chief minister. There's a possibility of a CLP meeting, we are told, in a couple of days. A one-line resolution will again be passed authorizing Sonia Gandhi to take a final call. See, let's also not forget the Sachin Pilate factor. He's very much sitting over here. He also has asked for time from Sonia Gandhi. He's likely to meet her today or possibly tomorrow morning. And he's also going to make that point that I have been repeatedly assured that I'll become the chief minister. If not now, then what's the point of making me a lame duck chief minister? These are the nitty-gritties. But also, Zaka, the worry is that Gehlot is no Captain Amrinder Singh, who was being deserted by his MLAs.
Yeah.
Gehlot has a grip over his MLAs. It's not going to be an easy decision, really, for Sonia Gandhi to take.
Oh, absolutely. As of last Sunday, when that previous CLP meeting was called for, at least 90 MLAs are supporting Ashok Gehlot. Of course, a lot can change in a week, but we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out. Pallavi Ghosh, for the moment, many thanks for joining us. Let's open this up. Neeti Jain is BJP spokesperson, Suman C. Raman, political analyst, Advaita Kala, author and political analyst, and Nirja Chaudhary, senior journalist, will also be joining us. Neeti Jain, first things first, you know, the BJP's line of attack against this Congress president election was whoever is going to be the next Congress president is going to be a puppet, is going to be remote controlled by 10 Janpath. And the person most likely to have been seen as a Gandhi loyalist, Ashok Gehlot, has now ruled himself out from that race. So this attack line that, let's say, between a Digvijay Singh and a Shashi Tharoor, and they are the only two known candidates as of today, neither of them would be called a puppet of 10 Janpath?
Are you sure about that, Zaka? Because, see, the point is that for any change to happen, there needs to be an acceptance that something needs to be changed. So when Digvijay ji was just talking, he just said, we want Rahul Gandhi to be the president. If that's not possible, let Priyanka Gandhi be the president. If that is also not possible, then I'll consider getting in somewhere. There is no acceptance. There is no need for a change that any of these people are saying. The people who were looking for a change have been sidelined as a G23 or they have left the party. So these people who are still in the race are the people who have the complete support or at least a confidence of 10 Janpath. I don't see anything.
Let me just qualify why I said what I said. First of all, Mr. Shashi Tharoor was officially part of the G23, so I don't know how much confidence of 10 Janpath he has. And secondly, as far as Mr. Digvijay Singh is concerned, it is true that there was a point of time many years ago where he was very, very close to Rahul Gandhi. The prevailing wisdom as of today is that they'd had a fallout some years ago and things were not the way it used to be. So neither of them is seen, let's say, for want of an example, in the same league in terms of closeness to the powers that be as, let's say, an Ashok Gehlot was. That was a limited point.
So, see, again, the point is Ashok Gehlot was directly being referred by 10 Janpath, and that is in itself a reason that 10 Janpath wants somebody who is in complete control of them to be part of that. There is still time for people to file in the nomination. So let's not draw a line today that this is it and these are the two people. Maybe there would be an added addition or somebody else who could come in via the 10 Janpath routes. That could still happen. But the essential point being that need for a change is still not being seen from the state presidents to the cadre to everybody. They still want Rahul Gandhi to come in. Rahul Gandhi for some reason is not interested. So this is an entire party of reluctant politicians anymore. Ashok Gehlot was being coronated, but he's not.
Thanks a lot for staying with us. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be inaugurating the 36th National Games in Ahmedabad in just a few minutes from now, as Gujarat opens up its gates for around 7,000 athletes over the next 16 days. India's first athletics Olympics gold medalist Neeraj Chopra, two-time Olympic medalist PV Sindhu are both in attendance. We could see them earlier. These games will be held across 6 cities of Gujarat: Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar, Surat, Vadodara, Rajkot and Bhavnagar. The track cycling event, though, will take place in Delhi because the velodrome is there. My guest, Shehzad Poonawalla of the BJP, Sanjay Jha, political analyst, formerly with the Congress party, continue to be with us as these pictures of the cultural program come in. Shehzad, you know, all of these projects aside, the inaugurations, the foundation laying, even the launches aside, do you believe the BJP this time around in Gujarat is facing a tough challenge purely because the anti-incumbency is piling up against you?
You see, when you are in governance for almost 32 years, there is something that you're doing right, you're delivering on the ground, because of which, even if there was a hint of anti-incumbency, that is getting countered. And let me tell you what works. Ever since Prime Minister Modi came to Gujarat as Chief Minister, let me tell you 2 things that changed completely, because of which I believe, because a part of my family comes from Gujarat. Gujarat used to face a huge water scarcity problem, a huge problem, especially Saurashtra, Kutch, northern Gujarat. Prime Minister Modi, when he was Chief Minister, he started this work of taking the irrigation and drinking water facility to all those areas. There were just 6,000 check dams. Today there are more than 2 lakh check dams, almost 2 lakh check dams that have been built. The Narmada Canal irrigation project, whether it's the Sujalam Suflam, whether it's the Sardar Sarovar project, and water is now reaching for irrigation and for drinking purposes to the remotest areas, tribal areas. This one transformation of Gujarat. Now second, I'll tell you, the development of Gujarat. Today Gujarat for the last 4-5 years has been #1 in FDI. I don't think about last year, but maybe last to last year it was definitely #1. 37% of the FDI was attracted by Gujarat. Why? Because law and order is great in Gujarat. It's lesser than the national average, the crime rate, and development, the GDP growth rate. When Prime Minister Modi was CM, it was well above the national rate.
It is also one of the most urbanized states in the country. But what my point is that, you know, people get used to it. They have seen the BJP government now for as many years. Would there be a yearning for change, and is there any alternative to the BJP in Gujarat? Let me take that question.
The Gujarati community and Gujarat people never go for a bad deal. They will never go for when there is something good in front of them, they will not reject it for what is a bad deal.
Well, the BJP has weathered storms like the GST, which I know, I was in Gujarat.
No, in fact, in all of those areas we won.
Yeah, in Surat I was there, and the traders were very unhappy, and they were facing a lot of problems. But we saw the result that happened post the GST rollout in a trader community like in Gujarat. But Sanjay, the question that I was coming to with you too, there's always an opportunity for people to pounce in, especially when a government has been in power for so long. But it seems in Gujarat, the Congress, and I'm not even talking about the Aam Aadmi Party just yet, they're not looked at as alternatives, because the Congress also hasn't really given the confidence to the public in Gujarat that they're going to shed its, minority appeasing mindset. And I think they need that if they were to ever come back in Gujarat in power.
Well, Shivani, if you look at the numbers, they're very telling in a great number of ways. Gujarat has so far been a two-party state. And although the Congress has not won a single state election for over 2 decades, it has always garnered more than 40% vote share. Actually, the difference between the BJP and the Congress may have got a little more in the last election.
But Sanjay, just hold your thought. The Prime Minister is inaugurating the 36th National Games. With the press of that button, there seems to be a holographic image that has actually come in the middle of the pitch, that stadium, where it says Gujarat Sports University, and the games have been officially launched. We are expecting the Prime Minister to speak very shortly too. Yes, Sanjay, finish your point before that.
Yeah, so Shivani, basically the difference between the vote share of the Congress and BJP hasn't been very sizable. It's just been in double digits, sometimes varying between 4% to 8%. So I think the problem for the Congress has been that it has not been able to retain its talent, provide a state leadership that is actually aggressive and ambitious, and eventually you lose elections in a first past the post system if you're not able to actually understand the mechanics of how to really do your campaigning. I think the Congress has actually committed harakiri in Gujarat. For those people who believe that the BJP is going to have it easy, no. But the difference between the Congress and BJP, particularly in Gujarat, has been the hunger to win. And I do believe that the Prime Minister, he comes from Gujarat. He's been a Prime Minister for almost 8 years, 9 years now. And he's still going down there to campaign. And I think this hunger to win is going to be the critical differentiator in all elections. People like to see political parties work hard, contest hard, try and win them over, because that's what people get encouraged to vote for. And today, if the Congress is not able to present itself as an alternative, I think that will be tragic. Because even today, as we talk, there is, as you rightly said, a lot of anti-incumbency. And truth be said, the communal polarization that has worked for the BJP, even that has a limited shelf life. The average person does not want hate and violence and, secular segregations. They want people to work, to be together. Everyone wants communal harmony.
Yes, but actually here, this is why Gujarat is a little different, because yes, it has this past where rioting has taken place, but since Narendra Modi became the Chief Minister, there were no riots. Now you can nitpick on this, but the reality is, and I've been and traveled to Gujarat, their law and order situation is much better, and they firmly believe that nothing untoward will happen. That is also a mark of harmony. Even if, people may hark back to 2002 and whatever happened at that time, harmony does not just mean that, that we have these skirmishes from time to time and things like that. Gujarat doesn't face that anymore. And that is working for the BJP.
If I may add,
let Sanjay come in, then you come in, Shehzad.
Okay.
Yes.
Shivani, a short point. I have a lot of friends from Gujarat who live in Mumbai, and some of them are in fact Mr. Modi's supporters. But they were so aghast when the Bilkis Banu's records were recently released that they almost said in a collective voice that I think Gujarat must vote against this kind of a extremely outrageous moral contravention. And I do believe that there are many things that we don't really see palpably on a day-to-day life, but what people believe within is something that only comes out in the ballot box. Therefore, I think the BJP...
Okay, I take your point about the Bilkis Bano case. It did leave a very bad taste in almost everybody's mouth. Yes, Shehzad.
Gujarat and Rajasthan share a border. Let's compare the two. The law and order, and especially rapes against women in Rajasthan, #1. In fact, in Gujarat, it's lower than the national crime rate. And therefore, FDI is attracted in a state where law and order is better. What does the FDI Rajasthan gets and what is the FDI Gujarat gets? What is the growth rate of Rajasthan? What is the growth rate of...
But the expectations in Gujarat are higher than what is in Rajasthan.
Just let me add one more key indicator. Gujarat's unemployment rate currently, as per the CMI data, I don't give it any credibility, but because these people like to use it, it's 2.5%, and in Rajasthan it's 31%. So, they should create a model in Rajasthan. What the model in Rajasthan is political instability. And Gujarat has seen a track of Vikas. And this is not Chunav Yatra, this is Prime Minister Modi's Judav Yatra. He's celebrating Navaratri, the entire country is celebrating Navaratri, and whether we win or lose elections, हमारा जुड़ाव कभी खत्म नहीं होता किसी भी राज्य से, किसी भी लोग से, जनता से.
Well, let's see what he says as he sets up the pitch for Gujarat elections for the BJP. He is their star campaigner, and obviously his connect with Gujarat, his home state, cannot be neglected, even if he's been in Delhi for 9 years now. Let's listen.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की। इस भव्य आयोजन में हमारे साथ उपस्थित गुजरात के गवर्नर आचार्य देवव्रत जी, हमारे लोकप्रिय मुख्यमंत्री भूपेंद्र भाई, संसद के मेरे साथी CR पाटिल, भारत सरकार में मंत्री श्री अनुराग जी, राज्य के मंत्री हरसंघवी जी, मेयर किरीट भाई, खेल संस्थाओं के प्रतिनिधिगण और देश भर से यहां जुटे मेरे युवा खिलाड़ियों, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है, अभिनंदन है। ये दृश्य, ये तस्वीर, ये माहौल शब्दों से परे है। विश्व का सबसे बड़ा स्टेडियम विश्व का इतना युवा देश और देश का सबसे बड़ा खेल उत्सव जब आयोजन इतना अद्भुत और अद्वितीय हो तो उसकी ऊर्जा ऐसी ही असाधारण होगी। देश के 36 राज्यों से 7,000 से ज्यादा एथलीट्स, 15,000 से ज्यादा प्रतिभागी, 35,000 से ज्यादा कॉलेज, यूनिवर्सिटी और स्कूलों की सहभागिता और 50 लाख से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट्स का नेशनल गेम से सीधा जुड़ाव, ये अद्भुत है, ये अभूतपूर्व है। नेशनल गेम्स का एंथम जुड़ेगा इंडिया, जीतेगा इंडिया। मैं कहूंगा जुड़ेगा इंडिया, आप बोलिए जीतेगा इंडिया। जुड़ेगा इंडिया, जुड़ेगा इंडिया, जुड़ेगा इंडिया। ये शब्द, ये भाव आज आसमान में गूंज रहा है। आपका उत्साह आज आपके चेहरों पर चमक रहा है। ये चमक आगाज है खेल की दुनिया के